I never imagined that agreeing to pretend to love someone would one day decide the fate of an empire. At the time, I was nothing more than a contracted human technician on the orbital station Virelia 9, a neutral trade hub spinning above the amber clouds of the gas giant Athar. Humans were still rare this far beyond Terran space. We were considered adaptable, clever, and most importantly, disposable. If something needed fixing in a radiation zone or a diplomatic event required a novelty species, humans were cheap and available. I repaired communication relays for cargo guilds. It paid well enough, but life was quiet, predictable, safe. Until the day Lady Itzhara of the Thyrax Dominion walked into my maintenance bay. She didn't walk so much as glide, tall and silver-skinned, her bioluminescent eyes shifting like nebulae. The Thyrax were one of the ruling powers in this sector, ancient, proud, and cold as interstellar vacuum. Itzhara wore a ceremonial crest along her brow, the mark of royal blood. Royalty standing in my workshop. I almost dropped my plasma wrench. "You are Elias Trent," she said, her voice like chimes echoing through water. "Human technician." I nodded, unsure whether to bow, salute, or flee. "Yes, my lady. How can I help you?" She studied me for a long moment. Then, to my surprise, she stepped closer. "You will help me by pretending to be my bonded partner." Silence swallowed the room. "I'm sorry?" "A bonded partner," she repeated patiently. A romantic consort. A mate." I blinked. "You want me to date you?" "Publicly," she clarified, convincingly. "For one rotation of this station around Athar. 36 local days." My mind scrambled. Why? Her luminous eyes dimmed, just slightly. "Because if I do not, I will be forced into a political mating with someone I despise." That got my attention. The Thyrax Dominion was ruled by bloodlines and alliances sealed through ceremonial unions. Refusal was treason. But if Itzhara could prove she already had a bonded partner, tradition would prevent the arranged mating. The law valued existing bonds over political convenience. But why me? I asked. "There are thousands of beings on this station." "You are human," she said simply. "Humans are not part of Dominion blood politics. You are neutral. No faction will gain advantage through you. And you are adaptable." Adaptable. Diplomatic phrasing for easy to replace if things go wrong. I should have refused. Instead, I thought about my debts, my station contract, my fragile future. One noble's favor could change everything. And it was only pretend. "All right," I said. "I'll do it. Fake relationship. 36 days. Itzhara inclined her head. "Then the pact is made." I did not know, in that moment, that I had just stepped onto a path that would reshape entire star systems and leave scars I would carry forever. The first days were easier than expected. Itzhara taught me Thyrax customs. How to touch foreheads in greeting. How to hold hands in public so their bioluminescent veins pulsed in synchrony. How to speak certain phrases of affection in their melodic tongue. In return, I showed her human habits. Coffee. Bad station hologram dramas. Laughter. Slowly, the performances became natural. Too natural. We walked through grand promenades while nobles watched. We shared meals under artificial starlight. She would rest her head lightly against my shoulder during public gatherings. Each time, her skin warm against mine, a strange spark stirred in my chest. It was pretend. I reminded myself. Just pretend. But pretending affection is dangerous when loneliness has been your only companion for years. One night, after a diplomatic banquet, we returned to her suite overlooking the gas giant storms. Itzhara removed her ceremonial crest and set it aside. Without it, she looked younger, vulnerable. Do humans truly choose their partners freely? She asked. Most of the time, I said.
Yeah.
We make mistakes, but at least there are mistakes. She smiled faintly. I envy that. For a moment, we just watched the swirling clouds below. Then she said quietly, You are kind, Elias. My heart beat faster. I did not realize the cost had already begun to collect its first payment. Halfway through our arrangement, something changed. A Dominion envoy arrived on the station, Lord Vareth, Etzhara's intended political mate. A towering figure armored in black crystal plates, eyes like burning coals. When he saw Etzhara holding my hand, his expression sharpened like a blade. You have chosen this, he said, disdain dripping from every word. Etzhara's grip tightened around my fingers.
Yes.
Elias is my bonded partner. Vareth's gaze locked onto me. I felt like prey beneath a predator's stare. So be it, he said at last. But know this, human. If this bond proves false, Dominion law demands punishment. For deception. For dishonor. I swallowed. Punishment in Dominion terms often meant execution. That night, I confronted Etzhara. You didn't tell me about that part. She met my gaze without flinching. If we are exposed, yes. The consequences will be severe. For both of us. I ran a hand through my hair. Etzhara, I agreed to pretend dating royalty. I didn't agree to dying for it. For the first time, she looked afraid. I had no other choice, she whispered. If I am forced to bond with Vareth, he will gain claim to my lineage. He will inherit my mother's throne. Billions will live under his cruelty. I stared at her. This wasn't just personal. This was political survival. Galactic survival. I needed someone I could trust, she said softly. And now I fear I trust you too much. The words hit harder than any threat. I exhaled slowly.
All right.
We finish this. Together. No backing out now. Etzhara stepped closer, placing her forehead against mine in Thyrax fashion. Then we stand as one. This time, it didn't feel like pretending at all. Days turned into weeks. Rumors spread across the station. A human bonded to a Thyrax royal. Outrage.
Curiosity.
Admiration. Hatred. Vareth's spies watched our every move. I learned to smile in public even when my stomach twisted with fear. Etzhara and I developed unspoken signals, small gestures to reassure one another. One evening, while practicing the ceremonial bonding dance, we stumbled. I caught her before she fell, our faces inches apart. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Elias, she whispered. I knew what she was asking. Permission. Consent. To turn pretense into truth, if only for a heartbeat. I kissed her.
Soft. Warm. Real.
When we parted, her eyes glowed brighter than I had ever seen. This complicates matters, she said quietly. Yeah, I admitted. But I don't regret it. Neither did she. And that was when fate sealed its final price. The final day arrived. The Grand Dominion Tribunal convened in the station's ceremonial hall. Noble houses gathered to witness Etzhara's declaration of bonded partnership. Vareth stood among them, patient and confident. He expected the deception to fail. He expected victory. Etzhara and I stepped forward together. She spoke in ringing Thyrax dialect, declaring our bond. The crowd murmured, some shocked, some furious. Then Vareth raised a clawed hand. By Dominion law, he said, a bonded pair must share life threads. Life threads. I froze. Etzhara's eyes widened. Life threading was an ancient Thyrax ritual, a biological fusion of nervous systems. Proof of true bonding. It could not be faked. and it was irreversible. If we refused, the deception would be exposed. If we accepted, two minds, one shared consciousness, forever. Etzhara leaned toward me, whispering urgently, "If we do not, Vareth will claim my throne. War will follow. Millions will die." I looked at the sea of alien faces, at Vareth's cruel smile, at Etzhara's frightened eyes. This was the cost. Not death, but losing myself. I thought of my quiet life, my freedom, my humanity. Then I thought of the billions who would suffer under Vareth's rule. I took Etzhara's hand. "We'll do it," I said. Gasps rippled through the hall. The ritual began. Crystalline tendrils descended, touching our temples. Light filled my vision. Heat burned through my skull. I felt her thoughts brushing mine. Fear, resolve, affection, sorrow. She felt mine in return. Then everything merged. I screamed. She screamed. Or maybe we did together. When the light faded, silence ruled. I stood. But I was not alone inside myself anymore. Etzhara's presence lived in my mind. I felt her heartbeat echo with mine. Two souls intertwined. Vareth staggered back, horror written across his molten eyes. Dominion law recognized life-threaded bonds as sacred and unbreakable. He had lost. The tribunal erupted. Etzhara, no, we were declared rightful heir to the throne. The station shook with ceremony and cheers. Victory, at unimaginable cost. Later, in our chambers overlooking Athar's storms, we stood quietly. "You saved my people," Etzhara's voice said inside my thoughts. "So did you," I replied, both aloud and within. I touched my chest, felt two heartbeats. "I'm still me," I said slowly, "but also you." "Yes," she answered. "We are neither alone now." I laughed softly. "Guess our fake relationship got pretty serious." She smiled. There was nothing fake about it in the end. Outside, the gas giant roared. Inside, a new being, part human, part Thyrax royal, gazed at the future. I had agreed to pretend to love a princess. I had paid with my solitude, my singular identity, my old life. But in return, I gained purpose, connection, a destiny larger than myself. And as the stars burned beyond the viewport, I realized, some costs are worth everything. The coronation took place 3 cycles later. The great hall of the Thyrax Dominion floated in orbit above their homeworld, a cathedral of living crystal that shimmered with shifting colors. Noble houses gathered in spiraling tiers. Starfire streamed through translucent walls. The air itself hummed with ancient energy. We stood at the center dais. Etzhara's ceremonial mantle draped across our shoulders now. I still struggled with that thought. Sometimes I reached for a memory and found hers. Sometimes she finished my thoughts before I formed them. 2 identities, braided but not erased. Vareth stood in chains at the far end of the hall, his ambitions reduced to silent fury. Dominion law had stripped him of rank. His war plans died before they were born. The High Seer raised a crystalline staff. By life thread and sacred union, she proclaimed, the throne recognizes Empress Etzhara Elias, guardian of the Dominion. The crowd bowed. I felt the weight of it, billions of lives, star systems, fleets, futures. Responsibility that would once have terrified me. But I was not alone in bearing it. "We will guide them," Etzhara whispered within. "Together," I answered. The ceremony ended. The nobles departed. The galaxy moved forward under new rule. Later, we stood on a balcony overlooking the endless auroras of the Thyrax homeworld. Twin moons drifted in the sky. Winds carried alien blossoms through the air. Do you miss your old life? Etara asked softly. I thought of my small workshop, my quiet routines, my single heartbeat. Yes, I admitted. Sometimes. She nodded, understanding. And yet you chose this. I did, I said. And I'd choose it again. She smiled. I felt that smile inside my own mind. Below us, the Dominion thrived. Above us, the stars waited. Our fake relationship had begun as a lie, but it ended as a bond strong enough to change history. And somewhere in the vast silence of space, I realized I had not lost myself. I had simply become something greater.